Hey everybody, Youngman Brown here. I just wanted to let you know that today's episode is part 1 of my conversation with Noah Harley. I had a really fun time talking to him, and time got away from us, and it ended up being closer to an hour, so we split it up into 2. So you are fortunate you get a bonus episode tomorrow. Just wanted to give you a heads up to let you know that we are going to cut it off about halfway through today. And instead of our typical theme music to start out, we are going to let you listen to Hired Hand by Noah Harley and the Horside Men. So without further ado, Your Creative Push, episode 106.
All writing is ass and chair. It's really just a matter of time and doing it. You know, it's not like, oh gosh, like I got to think about it. I got to get ready. Just do it.
I do not have a horse to ride. If I did, I'd surely go where you cannot see below, to where the waters hiss and boil, to where the earth lies free and cold. As I to these lands did ride, as I to these lands did go, above me I could feel the sky, within me I could feel the wind, within me I could feel the wind. My man, don't lie to me. Did they shoot you up with gasoline? Tore you up beneath the sea? My man, don't lie to me.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Noah Harley. Noah is a songwriter and member of the band The Horside Men with his brother Dylan. They play original, disgruntled Americana and country music. Raised by musical humans in a former candy store outside of Providence, Rhode Island, their music mixes spaghetti western themes with cabaret, ragtime, and post-partum punk. Grave Country, their latest record, was recorded in Copenhagen on a grant from the Danish Arts Council in the summer of 2013. And Noah, first of all, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I was wondering if you could start out by maybe telling us how the Horside Men came to be.
Sure. Well, we were born into the same family, and so we had a lot of time together. We've known each other for years, and Dylan and I have played in a number of different bands together. We played in a band called TikTok Laboratories, which is a 4-piece with accordion and banjo. Dylan's a drummer, so I was playing mostly banjo, but I would switch and also play bass. And Dylan was playing drums. So we'd always played together, and I'm trying to think. It was a long process actually for the Horside Men to come together. It was really a year kind of searching for a sound that worked. And the thing that we eventually settled on was I played bass, electric bass, and I started playing electric bass because we were playing a gig, and the acoustic bass, the upright bass that I was playing, the bridge snapped off in the middle of a song. And the only option was a Fender jazz bass that was in the attic of the woman whose house we were playing in. And so there was the electric bass, and then Dylan plays guitar, but he plays drums, but it's a strange kind of drum setup. He plays with his feet. So he sets up the kick drum behind him and plays with a kick pedal, and then a snare drum with a little kind of contraption that sets it upright, and he plays the snare drum with another kick pedal. And so it was a year of kind of searching for the sound, and we were playing. We're from Providence, Rhode Island, and so we started playing around there. And then I've been living in New York now for about 3 years, and so we started playing in New York a bunch and kind of up and down the East Coast.
That's what's up. And
yeah.
Have you and your brother always played together, or did you kind of do your own separate thing and then come together?
Yeah, I've kind of kept my own counsel a little bit. So I've always had different projects. I've been in a band for several years, also called Omi Wise, which is a little bit more traditional and folky. I played banjo and fiddle in that band. And also this past year, Dylan and I went on tour with a band called Spirit Family Reunion, and we were on tour for the better part of last year. So we've always kind of had a parallel music path. But I've also played in a bunch of different projects, and I also in New York I play solo shows and go busking with friends and kind of just get my yayas out that way also. So I do my own thing, but Dylan has always been a really important part of my creative path.
Very cool. And from your music, and we'll probably hear a little bit of it later, hint, hint, at the end of the episode, but some of your music has humor to it. Mm-hmm. Have you always tried to incorporate, not necessarily humor, but have you always had that kind of a voice with like your songwriting, or has it been a kind of a mix of things and this is where you're at right now?
No, I mean, for me, humor is a quick way to the heart somehow, if you can make an audience laugh, then you can also make them cry. That's I think that's kind of the humor and laughter. And also I think feeling in so many concerts that I've been to, or so many music venues, there's this kind of serious tone to it, like we're going to rock you tonight, or it's these really kind of sad, introspective songs that like it has to be just completely raw and kind of like tear your fingernails off music. And I feel like laughter is also a communal thing. If you get the audience to laugh, then that's also something that reminds people that they're in the room together. And so I don't think that I try to write funny songs, but they come out that way. I'm working on one now, which is a cover of On the Road Again by Willie Nelson, but it's called On My Phone Again. On my phone again, I can't wait to get on my phone again, so I don't feel so all alone again. I can't wait to get on my phone again. So I
love it.
Yeah. And so so kind of like some parody and satire, and I think satire and humor is also a way of just reflecting on the general insane state of affairs that we humans find ourselves in. And so it's also a way of processing and kind of getting some distance, or perspective from the daily rounds. My dad is a storyteller and a children's musician. His name is Bill Harley. And so I kind of grew up with a sort of narrative craft. And so a lot of the music that I write also has a narrative bent. There's a song on Grave Country called East Virginia, which is a retelling of a ghost story about a woman she grows up with this man, and she always wears this yellow ribbon around her neck. And the man says, "Why do you wear this yellow ribbon around your neck, my darling?"
Love it.
She says, "I can't tell you." And then she takes off the yellow ribbon and her head falls off. So that this storytelling is also an important element for my songs. I'm always looking for where something begins and where it goes to and where it ends. Rather than just sort of writing lyrics that could fit in anywhere. So I guess that's another part kind of my craft as a songwriter is looking for a narrative.
Yeah. And well, first of all, that, your East Virginia song that you're talking about, my niece, she loves that story because my sister and my brother-in-law are the coolest parents ever, and they read it to her, which it's like the most terrifying story ever if you really think about it.
Right? Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But the thing about humor, one of my professors in college, she always said, if you're able to make somebody laugh with just like the written word, like that's so hard to do and it's so rare. So when I heard somebody read something that I wrote and laugh I was like, wow, it's a very addictive thing. And it is that kind of, this communication that you're able to establish. And it's just like tragedy and humor are like the closest ways to create a connection with somebody, I think. And like you said, when you're at a show and when an artist is doing that, when you can tell that they're really going from their heart, they're singing from their heart about a sad thing, you can really connect with it. But the same goes for like at a comedy show where it's like this communal thing where you can really it's this form of communication that like kind of transcends the words that are actually spoken or like the notes that are actually hit. You're one with the emotion of the person, and I think that's like a really key thing to be able to try to accomplish.
Yeah, that's right. And I think also that the humor is just, it's an honest reaction. It's not, you can pretend to laugh, but I think that in a concert, you can really tell as a performer when you surprise someone, and they're surprised at their own laughter. I remember that we played a show in Providence a year ago, and the bouncer is this kind of disgruntled guy, and but we at one point we were playing a song, and at the end of the show he said, "Man, I was laughing and dancing at the same time. I don't know what was going on with me." And so that, music also has this great power of. I remember I was playing a show on a boat for a wedding. It was this a Russian aristocrat was marrying this German kind of middle class guy, and the Russian aristocrats, her father was just totally depressed that his daughter was marrying down, and he was just sitting at the bar drinking vodka after vodka. And then we played his friend came up and asked the band, "Can you play the Benny Hill theme song?" The
Yeah.
And we said, "Well, I guess that we can." And this guy, the father of the bride, immediately got up and started doing this insane little jig, and then went back to the bar after we finished the song and continued drinking. So music it just unlocks this. It really unlocks this thing in people, where they get surprised or they get reminded of a part of themselves that hasn't been kind of touched or accessed for a while. And that's one of the things that I love about it is really that kind of transformative power that live performance and music and art in general can have for people.
Absolutely. It is a universal thing.
Yeah.
And kind of going along with that, I know you like to travel around the world, which is really inspiring. And you're in Berlin right now? Yes?
Yeah. I'm in Berlin sitting in a recording studio. My friend Anders, who's Danish, who we recorded the Grave Country album with, has a studio here now in Berlin. And I lived in Berlin for about 3 years, so I still have a lot of old friends over here. And so I come back periodically just to reconnect with them, and this time to take in the spring. And also, we recorded another full length album in October. So I came over to mix and master that this time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of work as well.
Yeah. Always combining business and pleasure, for better or worse. But I think travel for me is such a great. Traveling is a spell, because you just buy a ticket, you pay the $400, and then you go to a totally different country, and you don't hold any currency, and you don't have a phone number, and you don't speak the language, and so but the place that you've left is still there, right? But you're not there anymore, and you don't quite know what your situation is. And so it opens up. I think that traveling can be a really good thing to open up different paths of thinking and kind of different parts of yourself. And that's one of the reasons why it feeds me so much, is to just to walk down a street where I don't know what's going to happen, or to think, oh man, how do I get out of this situation, or how do I get into this situation, and you really
you shouldn't be putting yourself into too many of those situations.
Yeah. Well, I'm keeping it moderated.
Good. No, and that's actually become one of the themes of the podcast, is the power of travel. We were talking a little bit before the show about, in my previous quote life, like the bad habits that I would have, where, I think a lot of people get into that, where you come home and you crack open a beer and watch Netflix, and suddenly, your Netflix queue becomes like your top priority because you're behind, and you keep adding stuff, because there is so much good stuff. I'm not knocking like the television that's out there, like, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But when it becomes like the stress point of your life, that's not a good thing, especially when you have like kind of creative ideas, and you shouldn't use that to push down those creative ideas. So anyway, when you do get to those creative ideas, it's like taking yourself out of that, like the everyday just crap of your life, like just the everyday routine that you go through. And travel does that too. You just kind of take yourself out of, like, literally pluck yourself out of your current situation and just go on an entirely new adventure, and like you said, just see completely new things and get yourself into a little trouble walking down an alley or something and asking yourself how you got into this situation. But sometimes that's good for you, When
I was thinking about this interview, I came up with a couple different exercises, actually, and one of the things that I like to do so I live in New York, and I usually I wake up in the morning and just go for a walk the first thing, just to get out of the house and to be out in the world and see where the action is, you know? And, but one thing that I like to do just to switch up the logical, rational brain is try to imagine you walk down a street which you know runs north-south, or you walk down a street which you know runs east-west, but try to imagine a street that runs east-west running north-south. Right. So try to mess up your own internal compass a little bit. And then if you can do this, then the whole street changes. All of a sudden you don't quite know where it leads, and so this kind of disorientation is also a way of seeing things new. And all of a sudden you see the old woman feeding pigeons, and you've seen it 100 times, but suddenly you're seeing it for the first time. And I think that travel can have that kind of disorienting, but also opening effect if you do it, if you do it consciously, or if you're really searching. But yeah, I think that's like a little trick that I use when I'm trying to get out of like, oh gosh, I have to pay my taxes and my tooth hurts, and like I didn't buy tomatoes for dinner, or, whatever the daily grind is, that you can fall into. It's just to open up your mind to different possibilities, or to a different perspective, a different orientation.
I love that idea. That's something I do at work sometimes too, is because I've gone to many different casinos around the world, and for anybody listening that hasn't listened yet, I'm a poker dealer at my local casino. But sometimes
you have a good poker voice. I don't know about the face.
A good my wife was actually saying that I don't have a good poker face anymore, because I'm not. Whenever she would ask me a question, I would try to lie, or not lie, but like half lie. I never lie, of course. But she'd be like, "Oh, how does this look?" And I'm like, "Oh, it looks great."
Yeah.
That kind of thing. She's on to me. She's like, "You should not go play poker anymore. Like you've just lost it." But yeah. I used to have a good poker face, but anyway, so as I'm walking around, and I guess I do this in life too, but I try to just imagine, I do a lot of people watching, but I try to imagine what the other people are experiencing. And if they're like from out of town, and this is just like, a 3-day trip, where they're only here for 3 days and they're just taking in the surroundings, and this isn't the everyday thing like it is for me, where I'm just like, ugh, like gotta go to work, gotta like walk here, and then like they interact with me, they ask me where something is, this might be the only interaction they have with somebody on their trip. I try to put myself in their place and just imagine the most extravagant type of situation where I'm the local, you know what I mean? As opposed to I'm just everybody's the local,
Yeah. No, you walk down a street and you think that you've seen it 1,000 times, but someone for sure that passes you by is seeing it for the first time, and that's always something that you have access to try and think for yourself also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's hard to like try to do that though. But that's the thing about just life, and really like to incorporate that into art too, to try to see the world for the first time. Like it's really hard to do, but if you can try to do that, it will really open things up, because when you look at the world that way, it's a much more beautiful place, and it will make you much happier, because in reality this is a very, very fleeting thing that we are blips on the universal scale of things.
Yeah,
so
we're just a bunch of weird combination of organic molecules and experiences and memories, and the thing doesn't last too long, and it's mysterious, and we don't know where it comes from, and we don't know where it's going. But I think it's so easy to get this kind of tunnel vision and to just rely on a pattern that we had yesterday or the day before or the week before, and to not open up. Actually, we're always traveling. I think that it's just when you go to a different country or you go to a different place, it just makes it more dramatic, or it just dramatizes it. But actually, this is the case always. Every day, that's, you wake up and you really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, literally anything can happen. Like, it's just that like a large percentage of the time the same shit will happen.
Yeah.
But that's like because you like kind of manifest that for yourself. Mm-hmm. Like you, but I don't want to say you, but a lot of people.
No, I mean, I wrestle with that for sure. I think the other just because I'm thinking about it, the other trick that I thought of is just looking for different ways to explain the same thing, because then it becomes a little bit more unclear what's happening. You know, like you make a decision to go to this place. Well, what was the weather like when you made that decision? What did you eat before that? You know, or what did the horoscope say? You know, so kind of unsettling your reasons for why things happen in the way that they do is also, I think that with creativity generally, it's a kind of muscle, you know, and it's a practice. There are concrete small things that you can do on a daily basis to open up that capacity within you, which we all have. You know, it's not, if you ask a group of 10 kids who draws, they'll all raise their hands. And if you ask a group of 10 adults who draws, then they say, well, you know, I'm a plumber, and plumbers don't draw. They just plumb, you know, or I'm an electrician, and that doesn't have anything to do with drawing. But actually we always have this capacity, you know, it doesn't go away. It's just whether you feed it, you know, and whether you pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Yeah.
And if we were talking about this too before the interview, I'm gonna have to put our little pre-interview chat in like a little bonus segment or something like that, because it was really, I thought it was a great conversation. It could be an interview in itself, but we were talking about that a little bit, and it's just like you do get. I feel like everybody does get these creative impulses, and hopefully the people that are listening, that's the reason why they're listening, is, you know, to get hopefully we can give them the inspiration to actually act on those impulses. But I feel like people do set up a narrative for themselves. They define themselves as the plumber, as the electrician, as, you know, whatever you have kind of started down that path, and then you're like, all right, I don't really have much of a choice, because this is the way I started down the path, so I can't possibly call myself a musician. But actually, no, you actually can. All you have to do is like practice music. All you have to do is either play an instrument or write a song, or do whatever. Learn how to play an instrument, learn how to sing, learn how to write, start writing. Like, that's all it is just starting to do something.
Yeah.
And then you can actually literally define yourself as that and say that you're a plumber on the side.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This is my day job, or my night job.
That's like the thing about humanity, is that we've gained that, like, whether we deserve it or not, we've gotten to that point where we now don't have to hunt, we don't have to gather,
right.
We don't have to like worry about saber-toothed tigers coming to kill us. Like, we've gained that right.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, but for people that have the ability to listen to a podcast right now, you have that right to be able to have leisure time, you know, to be able to actually pursue your creative passions, which is, I think, the whole point of humanity is to stop having to worry about that, to have gained the technological advancements that you don't have to worry about that anymore, and to actually go forward to whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah. There's no rules, baby.
No rules at all. And to like really trust that, like, you know, you're not going to die if you try to be a writer. You know, you don't even have to tell anybody about it. You just have to kind of start doing it. And I think that that's the way that we kind of begin to communicate with each other, and, you know, start to tell our narratives to each other, like we were talking about before, and just, you know, figure this shit out.
Yeah. And also changing with it. I think that one thing that I wanted to say though is I do think that, you know, inspiration is like a candle that burns really quickly, and with creativity, I think that you really have this opportunity. It's never too late, you know, and you really do have this opportunity always to train this sort of instinct or this impulse, or not train it, but to make it grow and to make it a bigger part of your life. But I think that it's all writing is ass and chair. You know, it's really just a matter of time and doing it. You know, it's not like, oh gosh, like I got to think about it, I got to get ready. Just do it. You know, just make it happen, because nobody knows otherwise. You know, it remains invisible. You know, and all you're left with is this feeling of, gosh, I wish I had done that, or gosh, I wish that, you know, I had the chutzpah to kind of get over the hill and make it happen, which can become a block, I think. Because the thing is not going to come out perfect, and it's not going to be totally easy. But if you start to do it, then I think, because the other thing you were talking, young man, about this, that it can be very easy to remain passive. If you work a job for 40 hours a week, then it really takes a lot out of you, and it really occupies your mind and your time, and you're tired when you get home, and it's easy to kind of remain in this passive or sleeping state. But the creativity, I think, is all about self-empowerment and self-actualization, and it's really this thing that I can do this myself. I don't need to rely on a boss or on a job. I can do it whenever, I can. And the more that you do that, the easier it becomes. And I think the deeper the flow gets, sort of.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, the idea of having a boss in your everyday life, with, if you do have a job, most likely you have a boss or somebody that tells you to do things. You have a set of instructions that you need to follow every day. And when you get home, and if writing is your thing or whatever, you can just sit and just type whatever you want on the computer, and nobody's going to tell you, because nobody has to see it. So it's a way to be able to express yourself into the universe, just so you can just get your thoughts out there, and it can totally help you figure out how you feel about the world and your current situation. And it can maybe help you realize that this situation isn't for you, or maybe help you to find a way out of the situation. And when you were just talking, you were saying, how the writing, it comes from something else. Most of the good things that I write come from something else, like you're saying, like you think of this grand idea, and that can sometimes just stall you into not doing anything. But most of the times when I sit down and just start writing, I have something else in mind, and my best ideas come from when I'm starting something different. So like you said, it is about ass and chair, just sit your ass down and just start writing.
And you're not, you can't burn down Rome in a day. You have to take it slow and burn it down neighborhood by neighborhood. Like if you want to write a book, then start with 3 pages. How else are you going to start but with 1 page? And start with something that you feel good about, and you feel comfortable about, or you feel inspired about, that you feel excited to write about. And then you take it from there. That gives you some other idea, and so you can do it piecemeal. I think that a lot of times, and I wrestle with this too with recording this album last October. I felt like, oh gosh, it has to be this great record, and I have to make all these songs immediately. But no, it's really just day by day, and then you have the satisfaction after a while of looking back on the thing, and you think, oh wow, I did do this for an hour a day, but after 2 months, then you have something, and so it's really a daily practice. I think that I was also when you were talking about routine, I think that creativity is also, it's just not directly related to the average everyday stuff. It also has to do with dreams and kind of things that you don't know about, or things that you wonder about, and getting out of, I don't know, like it's also a way of processing. Sometimes I write a song and then I leave it and I don't perform it. And then I come back to it 6 months later and think, oh, so that was what the weather report was like then. Sometimes I think that the subconscious mind, or the mind that's not always activated by jobs and logistics and the daily grind, sort of, that it operates on a different time length, and it operates in metaphor, and it operates in in dreams. And so sometimes you don't even know what you're making. You find out actually what was going on later. But it's not totally direct. It's not a literal, like, well, today I feel bad, or today I feel great. You write about, if you feel bad, then you write about the rain. If you feel good, you write about the sun. It's very simple stuff, but it's not a one-to-one transfer, sort of.
And that is where we are going to leave off for today. Lots of great stuff. And tomorrow the conversation gets even deeper. I really love it. We talk about human existence. We talk about originality, and how you need to go easy on yourself when it comes to creativity. But that is all for you tomorrow. Hopefully today you're inspired to go and get your work done. So go and get it done. and we will be here for you tomorrow if you need the push again. Have a great and productive day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.